Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Myrtle Beach Speedway for the second to last race in the Upstate Racing League season, the MaxSpeedTV 150. My name's Kelly Dahl. Along with me is KR Stolfus, and tonight it is definitely a race where pretty much the championship is on the line. The points are so close, and really, if some of these drivers, if they let Matt Kocher just kind of run away with this race, he might be able to actually cinch the championship here tonight. So everyone's going to be gunning for that number 69 machine. And KR, we've seen some fantastic racing throughout the entire season, and I think tonight is going to be no exception.
Tonight's going to be a great night of racing here at this very short Myrtle Beach Speedway right here for the MaxSpeedTV 150. And not only that, we're going to see these drivers try and get as close as they can to those turtle shells. We're going to see a couple of them go up and over, and it's going to shoot them up towards the wall. It's going to be a great night of racing.
Yeah, that is something to go over here. Is at this racetrack in turns 1 and 2, they've got the pit exit road kind of on the inside there, and separating the pit exit road from the racetrack is a painted white line, but also some kind of almost like speed bumps there, as KR called them, turtle shells. And if you hit one of those, it could damage the race car a little bit, because they are these cars are pretty low slung, and it will bounce that car up towards the high side. And also going into turn 3, the wall is just so close to the racetrack. There is no apron in turn 3. The wall is just right there. And then turn 4, you've got, I think, maybe enough to maybe put not even half of your car onto the apron, but it is a place where there's not very much room on that inside. But going to take a quick look at our standings, considering this is the second to last race of the chase. Currently, Matt Kocher sits in the lead, and there's a tie right behind him with Kris Stump and Steph Marinac, both 27 points behind him. So watch for the 98 and the 2 machine both just push hard during this race, because if Matt wins this, he has a chance of, I think, locking down the championship tonight. So neither of those drivers are going to want to let that 69 machine run away. Then just behind them is AJ Hamill sitting 53 points back. Then Brian Rogers Jr. in 5th. John Cool sitting in 6th. Guillaume Fortin in 7th. Al Smith in 8th. Andy Lambert in 9th. And then Justin McDuff rounding out our top 10. Going to take a quick look at the positions outside of the chase standings, because there is a trophy that is awarded to the 11th place finisher called the Best of the Rest Award, and currently that is Dylan Canova holding on to that position, but Will Dravicki is 20 points behind him, and Rex Hoyle is 26 points behind Canova. So there is also a little bit of a battle for that little championship as well. So really there should be fights all the way across this racetrack here tonight.
There is going to be very intense battles on the racetrack, not only for position on the track, but for the final standings in the championship. And speaking of intense, as we look at our current top 10 on the speed charts, you can see Kris Stump, Will Dravicki very close on their lap times, along with the 69 of Matt Kocher and the 18 AJ Hamill. Those guys separated by 0.001 seconds for their fastest lap. So coming up next, here in about 6 minutes, we will go into qualifying. Next week, Tuesday, February 26th at 7:50 p.m., the Racing for a Cause Vapor Trail Clothing Series will be doing their Southern Conservation Trust Dirt Derby at Volusia. Make sure you tune in right here for that. And then Thursday, February 28th at 7:40 p.m., the championship race, the final race for the Upstate Racing League Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series, as they do the Chasing the Checkers 200 at New Smyrna. Make sure you tune in here for that. Kelly, you going to be here for that one?
I may actually try to do my best to be there, but things may come up. But I'm sure if I can make it happen, I want to be here for that race, because I want to see what happens in this championship just after watching this play out for the entire season. But one thing that Upstate Racing League would like to announce, though, is that the signups are open for the Dirt Pro Late Model Series registration. So if you are wanting to race with these guys, but you want to do it on the dirt, now is your chance. I believe it is a $10 sign up, and it is I believe a 10-week race. Winner gets a die-cast model of the car that they drive in that championship. So there are awards to be won, not just for the championship. It is very similar to their Pro Late Model League here, where they've got a bunch of different awards for the different maybe like the cleanest driver, the most improved driver, and the one that has the worst luck as well. So there is definitely races to be won and prizes to be won. So if you're interested in that, go check out the upstateracingleague.com and find the registration page there.
There is a link also provided down below in the broadcast description if you need to just click. You don't feel like typing it in.
And I believe we are going to broadcast that one as well. Am I right, KR?
The Dirt Series is going to be broadcasted right here on MaxSpeedTV. Kelly, I don't know if you're joining me for that, but
no, I'm racing.
That's what I thought you were doing.
Well, yeah. I'm doing my best.
Well, I'll let you go race it. It'll be fun.
There you go. If you are wanting to get on Max Speed as well, now is also your chance. So sign up for that league, and maybe you can get yourself on this broadcast. And if you do well enough, you maybe even get to talk to KR after one of your races.
Well, speaking of talking to me, let's pull someone up for a driver interview. And I'm thinking someone who's broken into the top 5 here in the points standings. That is Brian Rogers Jr. We'll see if we can get a word in with him before tonight's race. And in fact, I'm not seeing him, so I have picked a dud once again. All right, well, your turn. Who would you say we need to do a pre-race interview with?
Oh, I do not know. The unfortunate thing was I wasn't here 2 weeks ago, so I wasn't able to see what happened there. But a quick recap is that Kris Stump was able to hold off Matt Kocher and was able to break Matt Kocher's win streak and kind of keep the championship hopes alive for both himself and Stef Marinac, because Matt Kocher was just on an absolute tear these last few weeks. But Kris Stump was able to claw 7 points back from him, while Stef Marinac was finished in 3rd, with AJ Hamill in 4th, and Brian Rogers rounding out that top 5 to move himself into the top 5 in these chase points. So it was a very hard-fought battle with the top 3 all within 1 second of each other. And with any luck, we will have a race like that here tonight. And if that's the case, I'm sure everyone's going to be able to go home happy, because from what I've gathered, it was a very intense race 2 weeks ago.
It really was some spectacular racing, very close. I think a few moments were kind of heated, but drivers all managed to shake hands and move on, and here we are for what would be the second to last race of the season. And so, yeah, it's gonna be an exciting time. So guys, we're gonna step away for a minute here and set up for the qualifying that's getting ready to happen. Nobody go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
This portion of the Upstate Racing League's Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series on MaxSpeedTV is brought to you by Rumar Vinyl Designs. Let us get stuck on you. Lightning Strikes Pro Shop. And Hanson's Starter Shop.
Welcome back to the Myrtle Beach Speedway. We are getting prepared for qualifying, and if it's your first time joining us here with the Upstate Racing League, they run a somewhat unique qualifying style, and the fact that it's a group qualifying. They'll usually send out about 3 or 4 cars at a time. Starting with the drivers, it's also based on finishing averages over, I believe, the last 3 races. So the drivers that have kind of the worst averages over the last 3 races are the first group to come out. And then you kind of have the guys that have been placing up front the last 3 races rounding out the field. So looks like our first group is going to be the 90 of Matt Roll, the 1 of Jeremy Carpenter, an 89 of Thomas Mateer, and the 16 of Paul Henley. So these are going to be your first guys to set a lap time, and watch for these guys that maybe, I don't know if we're going to really see too many 2-lap stints. A lot of these drivers will just do that fast first lap and then pull it in, but we'll see what these guys do. Matt Roll is going to be the first one to take a time here tonight as he leads the group onto the track. He comes out of turn 2 right now, heading down the back straightaway, getting right up to that outside wall and all the way down to the inside. Looks like he kind of bobbles a little bit through turns 3 and 4, but is going to cross the line now for his first time, and that's going to be a 19.283. Jeremy Carpenter going to pull in a 19.367. Thomas Mateer with a 19.315. Paul Henley's going to cross the line with a new quick time of 19.215. Matt Roll now coming out of turn number 4. Going to see if he can improve on that second lap. He is not going to improve. The time's going to drop by almost 2 tenths. Jeremy Carpenter's also going to lose time. Then was Thomas Mateer, and it looks like Paul Henley, he's probably going to lose. He is going to lose time as well, almost a tenth for him. So it seems like these tires only last that first lap with the optimal grip. Once you come around in that second lap, you've kind of scrubbed them off enough, heated them up enough to kind of not have the peak grip really. And so it seems like that first lap you have to be absolutely perfect with it, because you're not really going to get a second chance for a pole time. But the 16 of Paul Henley is going to sit in that hot seat for a little bit, and he's going to be our provisional pole leader for the time being. But our next group is getting ready to go right now. That's going to be the 22 of Mike Holtzclaw. Looks like the 34 of Jeremy Watkins has been called. Looking for another driver. But it looks like at this point it's going to be just those two. Just Holtzclaw and Watkins for group number 2. Looking to beat the 19.215 from the driver, the number 16, Paul Henley. Holtzclaw now arcing that final corner, trying to get as much straightaway speed as possible to start his flying lap. Now takes the green, going through turns 1 and 2 now. Getting a little bit high up the racetrack, but arcing down the back to get a better exit speed. So a little bit of an interesting style from that 22. Kind of sacrificing the entrance of the corner to get a better exit. We'll see if that's going to be good enough. Crosses the line for his first lap. That's going to be a 19.169, so it is going to move that 22 up to the top, and he's going to spin it off of turn number 2, so that's going to be it for him, and I think that's also going to ruin Watkins' second chance, and that's going to be harsh for that 34 machine, as he did not have a good first lap with a 19.416, so Jeremy Watkins is getting a little bit unlucky, making a mistake on his first lap, and then Holtzclaw spins in front of him, and he has to avoid him, and yeah, he is not going to be able to improve his lap on the second lap, so 19.416 is all it's going to be good enough for the 34.
Mike Holtzclaw in that 22, moving into that hot seat. Mike Holtzclaw, one of those drivers I enjoy watching. He kind of hangs out mid to back of the pack, but a very respectful driver, and he shows up all the time, and he always puts in a good solid effort.
So next group number 3 is going to be the 96 of Al Smith Jr., the 45 of Doug Wysocki, James McIntyre Jr. in that 81 machine, and it looks like the 77 of Andy Lambert is going to take up that 4th spot.
Al Smith, one of our chase drivers here, rolling out on the backstretch down into turn 3. He's gonna arc it a little bit, not as much as Mike Holtzclaw did, but he's gonna fire that thing off and start his first timed lap. Meanwhile, right behind him, James McIntyre is gonna start rolling around as well, and the 77 of Andy Lambert coming across the line. They all getting onto that clock. Doug Wysocki in the 45 machine. He is gonna jump up into 8th place for the moment, as he is gonna come around for his his first lap, and that is going to move him into 7th. Meanwhile, Al Smith jumping up to 2nd place, and Andy Lambert gonna move into 4th.
Al Smith getting the best run out of this group in the 19.201. Still not quite enough to beat Holtzclaw. I think the cause of that might have just been that arc, as you mentioned, that he tried to arc it off the final corner just like Holtzclaw did, but just didn't quite do it the same amount as Holtzclaw did. If you kind of watch what Mike did on that out lap, is he was pretty much up almost against the wall in turn 3 and then just dove down to the inside for turn 4 to pretty much just kind of extend the straightaway and carried some good speed onto that first straightaway to take the line. But now we're gonna get set for our next group. It's gonna be the 42 of Brett Bartels. Gonna have that 70 of Dylan Canova. I think it might just be those two. Gonna be led by the 42 of Brett Bartels. Ran a 19.216 in practice, but I think qualifying we might be getting a little bit faster as the sun is setting, the track is cooling off. The track temperature is now being measured at 71 degrees Fahrenheit. We'll have to see what these guys can do. The 42 and the 70 taking the green flag now. The 42 going to be leading this pair of drivers. It's a little bit high through turns 1 and 2, so not looking like the best lap. Almost looking like he might be a little bit loose in that car as well going into turn 3. He almost gets into the wall coming off of 4, but it kind of is going to be good enough to put him in 4th place for the time being with a 19.233. And Dylan Canova going to move himself into 3rd with a 19.211. So some decent lap times from those two drivers, good enough for top 5 each. Brett Bartels tries to improve his 2nd lap, and I think he did scrape the wall at some point as that lap was not scored. That is something that we may see at this track. I saw a lot of drivers in practice smacking the wall coming off of turn number 4 as they exit onto that kind of almost tri-oval-like front straightaway.
Well, Mike Holtzclaw has survived a couple of rounds, but now we're starting to get into the heavy hitters, guys who are some of the last ones to start qualifying due to running always, or I should say always finishing up front. The first one out on track, that's going to be the 13 of Guillaume Fortin. And Guillaume can be one of those drivers who can lay down a very quick lap. He's in the chase. He's got some ground to make up, a little bit further behind than what he would like to be after having missed a few races. He is still out there trying to do what he can.
And Fortin has been a guy that's been fast at times, but always kind of plagued by bad luck this season. He's having a few races where he was running strong and then encountered some connection issues. So I'm sure he's going to try to turn that around and just steal one win away this season and see what he's going to get on the first lap. It's going to be a 19.106, so a new quick time for that 13 machine. AJ Hamill as well putting down a fast time with a 19.152, and then Rex Hoyle beating him with a 19.147. Good lap times from these drivers here on this run. And again, trying to improve on that 2nd lap is just not quite happening for these guys.
Your new Rumar Vinyl Graphics Pole Award position holder is going to be Guillaume. He is slowly working his way down pit road into that honorable hot seat. But we still got just about 2 more sessions left. Very heavy hitters coming up in these next 2.
So Guillaume Fortin will sit in the hot seat, and he'll have to watch to see if anyone's going to be able to beat his time. We now have the 30 of Will Javicki as well as the 98 of Kris Stump in this next group. And watch for these guys to put down a fast time. Stump is always a guy that can run very fast in practice. He's got a few poles to his name as well this season. I believe he was our fastest practice driver as well, so we'll see if he can kind of transition that practice time here to qualifying. And he'll take the green flag along with Will Dravicki. Dravicki now going through turn 2, getting a little bit onto those bumps there on the inside of turn number 2. Now coming through 3 and 4, getting himself pretty close to that inside wall, looking pretty smooth as well. So at 30, gonna put down a good time. He is gonna get a new quick time with a 19:09.9, and then Kris Stump gonna immediately beat him with a 19:09.7. So 0.02 of a second is gonna separate our provisional pole sitter and our second place for the time being, as we still have a few drivers left to go, including some very fast drivers. So some good driving from Kris Stump, able to put himself up to the top for now, but we'll have to see what that 69 of Matt Kocher is going to be able to do. Kocher kind of struggled earlier on in the season with qualifying, but kind of turned that around these last few weeks in the chase. So we'll see if he's going to be able to kind of follow that up with a good time here tonight. Our next group, though, is going to involve the 11 of Brian Hacker, and might just be him by himself. I'm not seeing any other driver making his way. It looks like Matt Kocher has got his car on pit road, but hasn't moved towards the end of pit road just yet. Now he is going to pull that car out. So it is going to be the 11 of Brian Hacker and the 69 of Matt Kocher. So especially watch for Kocher with he's going to have he knows that he's in a position to kind of clinch this championship here tonight. I did see Kocher's stream come up on my Facebook feed last night, and he was running in a league that was running this very track last night, so he has kind of got a bit of practice in already. So I definitely watch for that number 69 to be a contender here tonight, but they still have to get through qualifying. Brian Hacker has taken the green flag, now coming down that back straightaway with that 69 machine not far behind him. We'll see what kind of times these guys can pull, as that 11 car was pretty much hugging that inside wall. He is going to put down a new fast time with a 19:08.9. We'll see where the 69 winds up. And now Matt Kocher going to move himself to the pole with a 19:06.4. So some great times from both of those drivers, absolutely smashing the previous positions. But another interesting thing to look at is the fact that the top 8 drivers are all separated by 1/10 of a second. So it is a very close race already in qualifying, but our Rumar Vinyl Designs pole award is going to go to the driver in the number 69, Matt Kocher, with another pole position for him here tonight. And he's been a guy that he said earlier on in the season that he wasn't very strong at qualifying. He was kind of qualifying midfield, but these last few weeks, as I mentioned, he's been working at it. He's been working on his qualifying and has been improving it. And tonight he does take home the pole award. So the 69 machine will be leading this field here in a few moments when we go to the grid for the race.
Yep, guys, we're going to step away here, as we like to do, and play our national anthems for both Canada and the US of A. No one go anywhere. We'll have your lineup for you when we get back.
We see the whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rackets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
This portion of the Upstate Racing League's Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series is brought to you by Coach's Corner. There's no place like home. Airborne Graphics, Arts Barbershop, White Knuckle Clothing, Best Colorful Creations, and Brian Rogers Motorsports, proud sponsor of the Brian Rogers Motorsports Rookie of the Year.
Welcome back to Myrtle Beach Speedway as we are getting set to grid for the MaxSpeedTV 150 with Matt Kocher taking the Rumar Vinyl Designs Pole Award with his another pole on the season. Then alongside him is going to be the 11 of Brian Hacker. Kris Stump going to be trying to chase down that 69. He'll be starting in third with Will Javicki to his outside. Guillaume Fortin going to be rolling off in fifth. Sixth going to be Rex Hoyle. AJ Hamill starts at seventh. 8th goes to 22 of Mike Holtzclaw. Al Smith Jr. going to be starting in 9th, and Dylan Canova going to round out our top 10.
In row 6 will be the 16 of Paul Henley. On his outside will be the 42 of Brett Bartles. Row 7 will be the 77 of Andy Lambert, and the 90 of Matt Roll will be starting in 14th. Row 8 will be the 81 of James McIntyre and the 89 of Thomas Mateer. Row 9 will see the 1 machine of Jeremy Carpenter and the 45 of Doug Wyasaki. And your final row, row 10, wrapping up our best colorful creations starting grid, will be the 34 of Jeremy Watkins and the 12 of Brian Rogers.
So Matt Kocher, our defending series champion and current points leader, is going to be trying to defend from the pole position. So kind of the best place for him to be here tonight. But just behind him is Kris Stump, and that is the guy that is sitting in second place in the points, sitting just 27 points back, and he's looking to play the spoiler here tonight. Pace car now down and away. The guy's going to go through turns 3 and 4 all on their own, led by that 69 machine. And we're going to get ready to go racing here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. And green flag is in the air for the Max Speed 150 as Matt Kocher gets rolling, as well as Brian Hacker. Hacker got a pretty decent jump on that start, but because of how the front straightaway is angled, kind of loses out of there. Big checkup on the inside going through turns 1 and 2. Now Kris Stump trying to fend off the 30 of Will Javicki. Brian Hacker looking to move down to the inside line. He's now going to move to the inside off of turn 4. Looks like Matt Kocher might have scraped the wall there coming off turn number 4, but that car's still looking fine. He's starting to open up a bit of a gap along with Brian Hacker. Stump is still battling with Javicki. Neither one of those cars are giving an inch right now. Looks like Fortin right behind them, trying to see if he can maybe sneak a way through those two guys up there, but not wanting to push it 3 wide. It looks like Javicki is actually going to win the race on that high side. He's going to move himself down to the inside line in 3rd place, and Now the only guy stuck on that high side now left is the 5 of Rex Hoyle, as he's going to be stuck on the outside of the 18 of AJ Hamill. Those two guys door to door coming through turns 3 and 4. AJ going to have the nose at the start finish line. Is looking back towards the front of the field. Brian Hacker is right on the bumper of Matt Kocher. Matt got a great start to this race, but Hacker hasn't let him go, it looks yet, and it looks like Hacker's kind of peeking towards the inside. Looks like that 11 car wants to make an early move and put the pressure on that 69 machine. The 11 of Hacker is not in the chase, but he is trying to do his best to play spoiler here tonight, as he wants to still steal a win away from the 69. So keep an eye on the 11 here tonight, as that car looks like he's rolling here tonight.
We go on board with Matt Kocher looking out the back of this thing. You can see that 11 all over his back bumper. Brian Hacker, as you said, not a chase driver, but would love to pick up a win and carry some momentum as he carries on into the next race. Maybe make it 2 in a row. Now he's to the inside here, pulling door to door. Can he get the power down up off the corner? And it looks like Kocher's going to be able to get a great run up off the corner.
But here's the thing to keep in mind, these guys have only got the 1 set of tires on their car, so Matt Kocher is the kind of guy that wants to play it, take it easy and play it cool in the first, actually for pretty much the majority of the races. He wants to just kind of have that extra bit of tread in his back pocket, but with the pressure that the 11 is putting on early here in this race, that Matt Kocher can't really lay back at all. As Brian Hacker's already shown that he wants to try to make moves, and now even Hacker's going to have the pressure put on him by the 30 of Will Drivicki. So these guys are all going to be putting that pressure on that 69 car. It looks like Kris Stump kind of struggling here at this racetrack. He made a mistake a couple laps ago going into turn 1 and went up the racetrack. That allowed Guillaume Fortin to get around him, and now here comes Brian Hacker once again, getting to get his nose to the inside. Looks like the 69 going to get a bit of a better exit off the corner, as Matt Kocher kind of working that high line through both of these turns now, as he's working the high line through 1 and 2 and now 3 and 4. As he kind of sits on that outer lane. It might be that he's maybe saving his tires a little bit, but here comes the 11. He's got his nose to the inside. He's now going to get up alongside the 69 machine, and look at Drivicki as well. He wants to get involved in this battle. He wants to try to push one of these guys through and be able to sneak a position away, as Kocher going to go way up the racetrack. He's just going to let these guys go through, knowing that if he gets, it's better for him to lose a few positions and yet stay ahead of Stump than it is for him to get wrecked by one of these guys. As now Brian Hacker going to move to the race lead. 30 of Drivicki going to move into second. Now Kocher just able to hold off Guillaume Fortin right there, as kind of wants to have a bit of a buffer between him and the 98, but Stump again losing another spot, as he's got AJ Hamill to his inside. Actually, Stump is going to still barely have that position, but Kocher now letting the 13 go by as AJ Hamill gets by the 98. So Stump has got to get get things moving in the other direction, because Kocher is taking it easy, but Kris Stump seems to be struggling early on in this race.
Now with both Stump and Kocher dropping back here and tires not being an option, I just wonder if they feel that the race pace is too fast right now and they're just kind of being safe, running a conservative race, and maybe wait till the latter part of this race before they really decide they want to turn that wick up.
That could definitely be the case, as this is a 150 lap race. There is a lot of time for these guys to make moves, but these laps do tick by quickly. I kind of did the math real quick, and kind of a rough estimate is going to be about 45 minutes for this entire race for all 150 laps, as this track is not very long yet is still pretty fast, as these guys are carrying up to 80 miles an hour in these corners and getting up over 100, maybe even up to 110 in the straightaways. So they are still they are going to be ticking down these laps real quickly, but it is still a lot of pressure to put on these tires throughout the race. If kind of one guy to maybe be concerned about is Brian Hacker, as he kind of has just put on the pace early on, and he's jumped out to a decent lead. He's worked his way around the 69 machine, but at the same time, is he going to be able to keep up this pace for the rest of the night? But one thing to work in their advantage is the lights are going down, the sun is setting, and the track temperature is also dipping, as we're sitting at about 73 degrees Fahrenheit. That's only 2 degrees hotter than qualifying, and that's also factoring in all these cars running around this racetrack. So that might help them save the tires just a little bit, as they're not really going to be slipping and sliding on a slick surface here.
I do want to point out a big mover so far here in this early part of the race. That is the 12 machine of Brian Rogers. He started 20th. He has now moved into 13th place. So he has made some big moves here very early on as he's starting to sniff out that top 10. Keep an eye on him as he is one of our chase drivers who started all the way back in 20th, but here he is into 13th with Andy Lambert, another chase driver, right in front of him.
Yeah, Brian Rogers elected to not take a qualifying time and ended up starting in the back of the field, but he's not wasting any time. He's, as he mentioned, he's moved up 7 positions, and I'm sure he's going to want to get more. After last week, he had a solid finish to move him up in these chase standings, and even though it's kind of, I think it might be impossible for him to catch Kocher, I still think it's kind of just a pride thing at this point. Is you want to just kind of be as far up the standings as possible at the end of this season. So watch for that 12 machine to keep making moves. Looking back towards the front of the field, though, that 30 of Dravicki is starting to close the gap just a little bit. It was 4/10 a couple laps ago. We're now down to 3/10, and as well, Matt Kocher has got around Hamill and Fortin to put himself back into third, as he's now got a 2-car gap over Kris Stump, and we're really going to focus on that gap between Stump and Kocher, because that's really the only battle we have for the championship right now. Is Stump is 27 points back from Matt Kocher, and if he doesn't get enough points here tonight, Kocher will seal the championship. But Kocher gets loose off of 4. I saw a bit of a wobble from that 69 machine as he was coming onto the front straightaway, so we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on the 69, as he might have kind of heated up his tires on that last corner.
It is worth noting that Steph Marinac and Kris Stump both came in tied for the points to this race, but Marinac unable to make tonight's event. So that really has put it down to a 2-horse race for the championship, and Stump has got to be in front of Matt Kocher, if not win this thing, to really keep that gap from widening even further. But further back, AJ Hamill only has a 7-point lead over Brian Rogers. So Hamill in the 18 trying to stay right where he's at and in the point standings, and right now he is sitting in 4th place with a good run going.
Yeah, he just made a pass on Guillaume Fortin, and then the 98 followed him around on the high side, actually, which is kind of interesting, because a lot of times we've seen throughout this season the low side be the dominant side on the racetrack. Tonight it looks like we kind of have a multi-groove race, as we've seen moves on both the inside and the outside. So especially with kind of drivers running both lines are getting, caution is out on the racetrack, and that is going to be, I believe,
the
that
77 of Andy Lambert and the 12 of Brian Rogers. Looks like they have gotten together.
Yeah, it looks like they got together going into turn number 3, and KR, I think you're going to have the max speed replay.
I have the replay ready, and guys, this is going to be a little tattletale here. Got that replay button, and it looks like the 12 of Brian Rogers just clips the left rear of the 77 of Andy Lambert, and Lambert hard into the outside wall. That is not what these two wanted to have happen, as they're both trying to make headway on the chase standings. It looks like just a little bit of a miscommunication as to who was exactly supposed to be where.
Yeah, it looked like the 12 wasn't expecting the 77 to turn in that early, so I think maybe kind of caught him off guard a little bit, but we'll have to see if those guys are going to be okay. The 77 seems to have a lot of rear end damage. Did come into the pits to repair that a little bit, but we'll have to see if that is going to affect him a little bit. Looks like Brian Rogers is going to claim the caution, so that will move him to the back of the field. But how that 12 machine started in 20th is going to be in 20th once again, so we'll have to see if he's going to be able to climb up the standings like he did earlier on.
He's going to have to start all over again. Good news is, still got over half the race to go. But plenty of time to do it, and he seemed to be fast enough to be able to pull it off. So we'll keep an eye on him. Meanwhile, the 77 of Andy Lambert still has to deal with that damage. But the 11 of Brian Hacker so far has been putting on a great run here. He's been out front for 20 laps. Maybe he can do this the rest of the race, but he's got some tough company right behind him.
Well, we are now stacked up double file. The restart point has just been called out. That's going to be in turn number 4. His car now down and away. We're going to get ready to get back to racing. We'll see if Dravicki's going to have anything for that 11 of Brian Hacker. We get ready to go green once again. All watching on the 11. The 11 gets a great jump. Dravicki caught sleeping, and that's going to allow Kocher to make a move to the inside. Looks like Hamill tried to follow him through, but decided against it as that 98 kind of got his nose up to the inside quarter panel, that 18. And now Matt Kocher going to clear that 30 machine, move himself into second place. Look at that outside line working as the 18 is going to clear the 98. Now the 98 having to work against the 13 of 410. But that 98 of Stump still fighting back as he knows this is his pretty much his last chance to take down Kocher. Got to stay with that 69 machine if he wants a chance to win this championship in his rookie season. Matt Kocher doing all he can to really just be a two-time champion. And looks like the 13 got into the wall coming off of turn number 4. That's going to check him up just a little bit, but still in that fight for, I believe that is the fight for 5th place at the time being. So these guys are battling for a top 5 position. Guillaume going to have a little bit of a nose ahead into turn 3. And while this is all happening, Brian Hacker's going to quickly open up a half a second lead over Matt Kocher. So that 11 machine does have some speed, but at the same time, is he pushing too hard too early?
Yeah, we're going to have to watch and see just how well this 11 is taking care of the tires, because we are still early in the race, and the tires you have, that's it. That's all they got. They cannot burn them down and expect to have anything left in the latter stages of this race.
Yeah, this is
filed through some of this line here, and just trying to find a good battle here, because we got a big knot of cars here. This is 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. That is the 16 of Paul Henley and the 81 of James McIntyre, the 45 of Doug Wysocki, and the 1 of Jeremy Carpenter.
Oh, caution is out on the racetrack once again. It looks like the 77 once again off of turn 2 there. Looks like some more problems for the 77 machine as he kind of looks like he may have just lost the car through turns 1 and 2. AR going to go back to you for another replay on that, on what happened to the 77 of Andy Lambert.
Oh, well, Andy Lambert already spun out. We'll back this up a little bit more, but yeah, all by himself, driving down into turn number 1. The car looked upset from the moment he went into the corner, and then just continued right on around, and with the leaders as close to as they were to him, by the time he got it rolling, they came right on around, and that is what's going to bring the caution.
Well, that is our second caution of the night, and we are on lap number 40, so just about a third of the way through this race here, and we're only about 16, 17 minutes into this race, so these laps are going by quickly. It is a 150 lap race, but these guys are knocking out the laps in extremely fast time, so knocking all these laps out in less than 20 seconds when we're going green. I think Acker there was running about 19.5s before the caution came out, so this race is going to go by fast. It may seem like there's a ton of racing to go with over 100 laps, but when you think about it, we're maybe about half an hour to the end of this thing. So this race, while it seems long and seems daunting, it isn't that long, but at the same time, it is still punishing on the tires. As even though the race is over quickly, you're still putting 150 laps, so that's 300 corners on these tires. So that's definitely punishing for a set of tires that you have to make last for the whole way.
That's why I firmly believe Matt Kocher and Kris Stump, when they were dropping back, just being very conservative on their tires. They felt that the pace was too much, And now Matt Kocher is working back towards the front, but even then he still hasn't found a way to keep up with Brian Hacker. But these cautions do allow the tires to cool, do allow them to get some laps turned without having to be at speed. So each caution flag does carry a little bit of importance on the tires. Oh, I can't wait to get to the latter half of this race and see who's done what with their tires.
Yeah, we're not really going to know what the tire life is like until the end of the race, because there's been a couple times where we thought that maybe Matt Kocher went over the cliff, but turns out that he was just saving the tires and he had a ton of tire life left. And we'll have to see if Brian Hacker really is burning those tires off, or if the cooler temperatures are allowing him to save those tires. But we'll see what Kocher is going to have for him here on this next restart. We saw Kocher drop back earlier on in the race. He started in pole position, dropped back to about 4th before working his way back up. So we'll have to see if he wants to fight for the lead again, or maybe if he wants to just drop back once more and kind of wait out the rest of this race. I mean, Kocher doesn't need to win this thing. It actually is kind of smarter for him to ease up and just kind of take an easy few points over the 98. But now we're going to see what's going to happen here as we come off turn 4. Green flag is in the air, and the 11 gets another fantastic jump. Kocher going to be able to as well get a good enough jump to hold off the 30, and actually going to maybe even take a look on the high side. He carries some good speed through turns 1 and 2, but so does the Brian Hacker on the inside line. Going to be able to still hold off the 69. Looking just behind them, though, the 18 and the 30. AJ Hamill trying to take a position away from Dravicki as he wants to move himself in the top 3. As he started it back in 7th, he now wants to move his all the way up to the front. Is actually making a bit of a mistake there through 1 and 2, and that's going to allow Dravicki to kind of get a nose on him as the top 2 are single file, but then we've got double file contact behind them. The 5 goes sideways, and he's going to go spinning into the wall. Rex Hoyle going to get taken out, and the caution is going to fly once more, as the 5 is going to also collect the 34 in that little spin. But looking like these guys both still have clean enough race cars to be able to keep themselves going, but a bit of an accident for those guys, and I'm sure it is going to slow them down a little bit. And they are going to throw it to you one more time for the replay.
The 22 of Mike Holtzclaw, the 5 of Rex Hoyle, going to battle down the backstretch, and Mike Holtzclaw going to end up getting the final say in this situation, as Rex Hoyle is going to make heavy contact with that outside wall. Able to get going. The 34 machine of Jeremy Watkins very late into that incident. We're going to ride on board with Watkins. You can see he just misjudges exactly where Rex Hoyle is going to be and makes slight contact with him. However, it looks like both cars will be able to continue on with just a little bit of damage on that 5.
Now, KR, I want you to just back it up real quick and just watch the 96 of Al Smith and how just insanely close he gets to getting taken out by that 5. I think he may have even lost a bit of paint on that right rear quarter panel as that 5 went spinning around. I think that Al thought that Hoyle was going to spin towards that inside wall, but then that second tap from the 22 sent him towards the outside where Al was already sitting. But great reactions from Smith as he just cranks that wheel to the left and somehow narrowly avoids that spinning car. But this will be our last double file restart. If there is another caution that flies, they will move to single file restarts after this. So hopefully these guys will be able to keep it green to the rest of this for the rest of this race, as we still haven't even finished the third of this race yet.
We're working our way towards a lap 50, 1/3 of the race at that point. But for right now, we do have some news to report. The 77 machine of Andy Lambert has decided to call it a night. He has packed up, he has gone home. So the 77 is out of the race. That leaves us with 19 cars out there running on the lead lap. But some of them are starting to get that damage, as we've had just a couple of accidents here. Rex Hoyle, one of the more recent ones. Mike Holtzclaw is taking the blame for that one, as he has dropped to tail end of the field here.
Lights are out on the pace car, I believe, this time. We are going to get stacked up double file, and we'll have to see what's going to happen on this next restart. These restarts have been good for AJ Hamel. He's been getting some fantastic jumps and making some great moves as he moved himself up into third before that last caution came out. So watch that 18 machine. He might be able to challenge the 69 and the 11, but we'll have to see if Matt Kocher is going to be able to guess that jump of the 11. Going around turns forward now, and the green flag is in the air as the 11 gets another fantastic jump. Matt getting a decent enough jump to carry some good speed into turn 1. He's going to throw it around that outside. He's trying to make the move, but trying to make it stick, but definitely a risky move for that 69 car, but he is still trying for that lead. He's going to go up the racetrack a little bit on the high side, but he's carrying some fantastic speed, going to keep himself off the wall out of turn 4. And I think he is going to have the lead at the line by about 0.03 of a second. But the 11 of Brian Hacker not giving up just yet, still trying to challenge on that inside line, still trying to take the lead away from Matt Kocher and trying to get his first ever win here at the Upstate Racing League Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series. He's challenging the defending champ and a guy that is definitely hard to beat. Now Matt Kocher is going to take the lead away, and that's going to force the 11 to check up just a little bit, and that's going to allow Javicki to get right up to his bumper. And now Javicki trying to make a move on that outside. He's going to get even up to the 11, and now it's kind of looking like that middle line, that second lane there on the racetrack is kind of prevailing as the faster line is. You're kind of able to carry a bit more speed around this track if you run just a little bit up there on the track. But Brian Hacker still trying to defend as much as possible. He is not giving up there and trying to fend off that 30, but Javicki's still holding on as these guys are just kind of going back and forth, almost banging doors there going into turn 1. And Matt Kocher kind of he could definitely run away at this point because these guys are slowing each other up, but it almost looks like he's holding back, saving his tires. And that is something we've seen Kocher do.
Side by side, the battle for second place continues. Meanwhile, there's a whole lot of battling going on throughout the rest of this pack here as the 81 of James McIntyre washing way up the track here in 1 and 2. Settles it down, but now he's got to fend off an attack from the 16 of Paul Henley. And as again, McIntyre up to the high side. Henley's gaining inches on him per lap, but slowly but surely that 16 will find a way around. And do want to check in on Brian Rogers. We saw him making his way through the field, get involved in an incident, claim a caution, had to start back at the tail end all the way back to 20th. Here he is now, just into the top 10.
We had almost a three-way battle for the lead there as Javicki and Hacker caught up to the 69 car, but now Javicki was able to win the battle, move himself into second, and now he is slotted in behind that 69 machine. And we'll have to see if Javicki's going to have any chance to kind of battle with Kocher. As Kocher was seeming to be holding up when these guys were battling. Instead of opening the gap, he kind of just maintained that gap and even closed the gap a little bit. As it definitely, I would assume that he was saving his tires because he's shown that he has more than enough speed to kind of run away from these guys when they're definitely battling side by side. So I think Kocher's been holding up a little bit of action, a little bit behind them as the 18 and the 13 Hamill and 410 are battling it out for the 4th place, and almost getting the 11 of Hacker involved with them as well, as those guys are trying to fight out for that position, neither one giving up an inch. Door to door now into turn number 1. You guys also have to deal with the fact that Brian Hacker's in front of them. Neither of them can really kind of make a move because every time that one of them gets momentum, Hacker kind of gets in their way and kind of cuts off the momentum. Lights around the racetrack though just clicked on as the night continues to roll in here as we're getting to be just before 8 o'clock in sim time. So it looks like the 11 just scraped the wall there a little bit. Guys are definitely, the track is cooling off. We're now down to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, so that is going to allow these guys to have a bit more grip than if we were racing here during the day. So we'll have to see who's going to be able to make use of that grip as the 13 tried to lunge forward, nearly making contact with the 18 as those two guys kind of leaned on each other through turn 2, and as once again just door to door in turns 3, and neither one of them wanting to give up at all. So those guys are pushing hard, but now the 18 is going to drop back, allowing the 13 to get ahead of him as AJ kind of maybe realized that kind of working his tires a little bit too hard, and there's still a lot of racing to go here.
That there is, and so now the 13 is 4th. AJ Hamill is 5th, and Kris Stump still sitting in 6th spot. But the driver in 7th, that is the 70 of Dylan Canova. And Dylan, as we mentioned, he is in that top spot to earn the award Best of the Rest. He is the top non-chase driver in the point standings. He has a 20-point lead over Will Dravicki coming into tonight's event. But with Will Dravicki running up front, Canova needs to try and figure out how to get by some of these guys. Maybe make his own run for that award here. So he's going to look to the inside of Stump as they come onto the front stretch.
Yeah, looking at the front though, Will Dravicki has made a move and gotten around Matt Kocher, so Will Dravicki is going to take over the race lead. Matt Kocher knows that he doesn't have to win this race. He just pretty much just has to place ahead of Kris Stump, and I think that will put him in enough points to clinch the championship. And I think if he pushes himself over I think if he still maintains an over 20-point gap going into the final race, I think if depending on how many people show up, he probably will have that championship clinch. So Kocher is just trying to play it safe, making sure he doesn't get involved in any sort of incidents. But as Kocher kind of lays back off the throttle, kind of makes himself almost a roadblock for Dravicki. As Dravicki turns on the throttle and gets ahead of everyone else, he's opened up about a half a second gap over everyone. And Hacker now trying to get around Kocher, but even if Kocher isn't pushing, it's kind of hard to make a pass on another car.
Yeah, Brian Hacker, like you said, finding a way around a car here at this Myrtle Beach Speedway is very tricky because that bottom side really has a good roll through the corners. The top side has a good roll down the straightaway. So it really just comes down to whoever is going to end up blinking first. And right now, this field has gotten single file, everyone going nose to tail. Not until we get to the 22 of Mike Holtzclaw that we have a little bit of a gap, and Mike Holtzclaw all the way back into 14th place for now. After taking that end of the line penalty, he has not been able to advance too far forward. He has gained a couple of spots. He is faring better than the 5 of Rex Hoyle. That machine heavily damaged. He is definitely off his normal race pace here, and he is running around 19th with that wounded machine. He has not given up though. Mad props to him for continuing on out there.
Yeah, everyone just seems kind of content to tick by the laps here, as kind of reaching that midway point in the race. We're about 2 laps away from getting past the halfway point in this 150 lap race. But looking back just a little bit, there's a kind of a battle between the 13 and the 11, as Guillaume looked like he was trying to take a look to the inside of Hacker, but then Hacker slammed the door shut on turn 2, causing him to check up and causing Hamill to almost get into the back of that 13 machine. So there is some guys trying to kind of jostling for position, and everyone's just kind of looking for a bit of a gap here.
Will Dravicki, your race leader, so far has been out for 10 laps here tonight. Now make it 11. Crosses the start-finish line once again, and we are just at the halfway point. This race on the downhill side of things now. Now it's time to start seeing who saved what in their equipment, who has tires left, and who doesn't. Because half the race is done. You got anything left in your tires, you better start using it.
And people are starting to use those. Moves are being made, as it looks like Fortan is trying to get to the inside of the 11, is trying to get his past the 11 and get himself into third place. But Hacker still holding on to that high side. We've seen that high side able to carry a lot of speed around this racetrack, and he is able to fend off that 13 for the time being. But now he's gonna have to try to close the gap to Matt Kocher, as Matt opened up half a second gap over him, but he's still a couple tenths behind the 30 of Will Dravicki. But that gap has closed the last few laps, and that last time around it closed almost 2/10 of a second. So Matt definitely does have some tires left in that machine, and he's trying to put the pressure on that 30 car and take that lead back. Now taking a look on the high side, maybe even to try to arc this corner a little bit, getting a better run down the front straightaway than the 30. But Actually looks like the 30 may have opened up that gap just a little bit more. And looking back through the field here, looks like everyone's still jostling for position. The 13 still trying to find a way around the 11 of Hacker. Looks like the 98 of Stump, he's still kind of trapped in his current position. He's got to find a way around Hamill and the rest of these guys and be able to catch up to Matt Kocher. And laps are going to tick by quickly, so if he still wants to have a shot at this championship, he's got to start making moves quickly.
Guillaume Fortin still trying to find a way around the 11 of Brian Hacker. Kris Stump looking to the high side on the outside of the 18. Now he's going to diamond it back down, and the 42 of Brett Bartles getting sideways, no caution, and Brett is able to get it rolling again, but he is going to lose a lot of ground as he drops all the way back to 14th after running near the 9th and 10th place.
I think he was scored in 10th place on the previous lap, now being scored at 14th and now getting loose again. He's definitely overheated those tires, so just that one slide has caused those tires to heat up to the point where they have lost grip, and a second slide is going to only make it worse. So that 42 has got to lay off the throttle and take the next few laps slowly to cool off the tires. Take a look at how high he's running on the racetrack to try to just find the cooler pavement right now, as he's still struggling for grip on in that race car.
Yeah, you make a tire angry here in iRacing on the pavement, and it stays angry at you for what feels like forever. You have got to do what you can to cool it down. Meanwhile, our leaders are starting to work into lap traffic. Rex Hoyle on the 5 machine going a lap down here, running way up high, going to try and stay out of the way. There is a side-by-side battle as they're going to go 3 wide through 1 and 2, and Brian Hacker and Guillaume Fortin make contact. They sort it out, only to maybe make contact again in the next corner.
Yeah, it looked like they really door banged coming off of turn number 2. I don't know how either of those drivers stayed pointing in the right direction. I thought one of them was going to be going into the wall there, but they are going to be able to keep those cars clean. And now the 18 going to try to make a move on the 11 as Hamill looks to the inside of Hacker, diving into the corner in turn 3. They are still going to be even up coming off the corner. Maybe a little bit of an advantage. The 11 off of turn number 4 is, again, we've seen that high side able to fend off attacks. At the same time, you can make a move to the inside. Door banging again. Some contact between those two in turn number 2. And just behind them, Stump and Smith are battling as well, as Smith gave a little of a bump to the 98. But Canova going to try to look to the inside as that 96 went way up the racetrack, as things are definitely starting to heat up here on the tail end of this race. We kind of passed the halfway point, and then all hell broke loose as everyone decided that it was now time to go, as you realize time was running out. The 98 getting hit by the 96. Stump is going to go all the way around, and thankfully everyone's going to avoid him, but the 96 is going to spin the 98 as Smith spins out Stump, pretty much costing Kris Stump a ton of track position. That is not something that the 98 wants to see, and definitely something that the 69 wants to see. Is that's the battle for the championship, as we've mentioned many times throughout the night. Is Stump is the only guy within reach of Kocher, and if this still shapes up the way it is right now, Kocher is going to win the championship here tonight. So at this point, I think Matt Kocher is going to lay off of Will Javicki, and he's just going to kind of cruise around for the rest of the night, because with Stump being so far down in the field, Kocher's really has no pressure to push harder.
All right, guys, we're going to step away for a brief moment. No one go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This portion of the Upstate Racing League's Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series on MaxSpeedTV is brought to you by NHR, Eddie's Meat Market, Devil's Bowl Speedway, Vermont's fastest half mile, Atomic Graphics,
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are here at Myrtle Beach for the MaxSpeedTV 150. We are nearing 100 laps here of this 150 lap race. Will Javicki is your race leader. He has been out front for 27 laps. So far, Brian Hacker has led the most laps at 40 laps. and Matt Kocher has been your leader for 24 laps. Now, Matt Kocher sitting in second place. He is going to try and do all he can on this restart to get back out front. We have seen these guys start to change their line a little bit into turn one. They like to enter in really high, get on the throttle, and then let the car rotate and exit down low. So with Matt Kocher restarting on the outside, he will be in what has become the preferred lane for turn one. We'll see if Will Dravicki can clear him down the front straightaway though. Meanwhile, things heating up in the back of the pack. We just saw Al Smith make contact with Kris Stump as they were battling for position, and that was a product of nose to tail racing, and Al Smith just carrying a little bit more speed, getting into the back bumper of Stump. Unfortunately, it did turn Kris Stump second place in the points contention. He has got a lot of work to do to get back through this field. Kris Stump falling all the way back to 15th. Al Smith with that EOL penalty will restart 17th. But here we go, folks. Green flag getting ready to drop. Will Dravicki on the throttle, and away we go once again as Guillaume Fortin is going to get a good run into the corner. He is going to challenge Matt Kocher in the 69, and Guillaume going to gain 2 spots in 1 corner.
Now we're going to see if Kocher's going to keep battling or if Kocher's just going to start letting people go, because he doesn't have any reason to push for a race win here. As if he plays it safe, he'll clinch the championship. So looking to the lead though, Will Dravicki goes way up the racetrack, and that's going to allow Guillaume to sneak by to take the race lead. So move that 13 up to the first place. As he's going to try to go for his first win of the season here tonight after being so close many times throughout the season. So we'll have to keep an eye on the 13 machines. People are getting stacked up behind the 69 as it looks like Kocher is just kind of laying off the throttle, but that's almost making things more dangerous for him as guys behind him are too wide and both are looking for any sort of gap, and the 11 of Hacker getting right up to the bumper of the 69 of Kocher. So Kocher needs to be very careful, almost needs to just either go faster or get out of the way of these guys, because he might get himself into trouble if he isn't careful.
09 Motorsports drivers Guillaume Fortin and Will Dravicki running 1 and 2 at the moment. They are loving the battle that Matt Kocher is giving.
Oh, contact between the 18 and the 11. That's going to send both cars sideways. The 18 is going to spin off to the inside, and so is the 1 of Jeremy Carpenter. Both those cars are going to come to a rest against the inside wall, and that's going to bring out another caution here tonight on lap 99.
We go to our MaxSpeedTV replay and show you exactly what happened to the 18 of AJ Hamill, who's going to collect the 1X of Jeremy Carpenter after he came to a stop. It looks like contact was made at corner entry between the 18 and the 11. Hacker chased the car all the way up the track, was able to save it and continue on. Meanwhile, the 18 spinning down to the infield, and the 1X of Jeremy Carpenter with nowhere to go locks it down as we ride on board with Carpenter for this one. Hard on the brakes. The car just turned left on him. Fortunately, looked like he got it shut down before too much damage was done. Guillaume Fortin, your race leader for the moment. Will Dravicki in second, rounding out your top 3 right now. Matt Kocher. 4th place is Dylan Canova, and Brian Hacker, after that slide through 1 and 2, winds up in 5th.
I believe we might go into single file restarts, though I don't know for sure. I know it was announced earlier that Al was saying that it might be going to a single file starts, but I have to keep an eye on the field once the lights on the pace car go out, which I think will be this next time by. Lights are still on now, though, going through turns 4, so We'll have to keep an eye on the field here now. I believe we're going to get the signal for one to go here. Actually, lights are going to stay on, so we are going to do at least one more lap or 2 more laps. So field is going to get a bit more of a rest period here. Is we've got just under 50 laps to go. We're on lap 103 out of 150. And we, as we've mentioned, these laps go by quickly. It does seem like a lot at first, but when they're only 19-second laps, these laps will absolutely fly by.
Man, I'm really impressed with Dylan Canova here in that 70 machine. Kind of been one of those silent runners who finds a way to the front, and just hasn't had a whole lot of luck on his side here. That's short track racing though. Kind of need a little bit of lady luck every now and then.
We are going to restart double file. It's going to be interesting to see what the 69 machine does. It looks like he didn't want to get involved in the fight for the lead, but at the same time he was kind of getting caught in the battles behind him, so we'll have to see what he's going to elect to do. And watch for the 13 and the 30. As we mentioned, those guys are teammates, so we'll see if Draficki's going to help out Fortan at all. Good jump from the 13. Looks like he didn't call it out at all to his teammate. Draficki dropping like a rock on that restart. Now look at Kocher diving to the inside. He wants to take that race lead back. He doesn't care about clinching the championship. He wants to take yet another win on the season. And gonna go to that inside line, keep working it against the 13 car, and Guillaume trying to battle back against this defending champion, the guy that has been absolutely dominating the season here. We are going to get yet another caution, so caution flag going to fly. Yeah, it looks like Paul Henley in turn 1 there, and we'll have to take a look on the replay to what happened, but it looks like he got caught up with Mike Holtzclaw going into turn 1.
Go to our MaxSpeedTV replay, as we're going to find out exactly where Paul Henley went wrong here, as he is going to be through 3 and 4 here onto the front stretch. Kris Stump behind him trying to work his way through. Stump looking to the outside. Mike Holtzclaw just a nose on the inside of Paul Henley as Henley starts to go to the inside there to make the corner. That is going to bring out the caution for tonight. So guys, we're going to step away for just a minute and we'll be right back after this.
back to Myrtle Beach Speedway. Lights are out on the pace car, and we're going to get set to go for the end of this race. At least we hope so. And Matt Kocher electing to take the outside line, with Guillaume going to be to his inside. But Matt is going to control this restart here, rolling through turn 4, getting to that restart zone. He's going to get a good jump. He's going to get a bit of the 13 is going to get a bit of a push from the 11 of Brian Hacker, but Kocher jumping out to a great start, and I'm sure we're going to see him try to open up a gap, and I think he's going to use up what's left of what he's been saving on those tires now to just kind of cruise out to the race lead here for what we all hope will be the end of this race. Under 40 laps to go now. We just finished lap 112 of 150, just behind the 69.30 of Dravicki. Has been able to pull out in a second, but looks like Fortan and Brian Rogers battling it out side by side for that third place. And a big shout out to Brian Rogers, as he's been kind of the fighter of this race. Started in 20th and it moved his way up into about the mid pack, then got involved in an accident, got moved all the way back to the 20th once again, and now fighting up for third place. So that 12 machine has just not quit here tonight, and he's now edging out that 13 machine and gonna steal away that third place. So to move that 12 machine up into third, is that car has now advanced 17 positions since the start of this race.
Guillaume not giving that spot to him too easily, but now he's going to tuck in right behind him. They'll move Brian Rogers into third, Guillaume fourth, and Brian Hacker in 11th. Kris Stump, who has been riding around in 6th place quite a lot, has managed to make it back into 6th place, but now he's dealing with the 70 of Dylan Canova on his inside. Kris Stump, of course, going around after contact between him and Al Smith. So Kris Stump has recovered from that, and it looks like he has towed the 96 Al Smith right along with him.
And Kris Stump has got to do something to catch up to Matt Kocher, because Kocher has run away with this and starting to lose a little bit of ground to Dravicki, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of let off the throttle a little bit. Looking at the battles that are shaping up, it looks like the 98 still battling with the 70 for that 6th spot, and he needs to get around the 70 as soon as he can to be able to challenge Matt at all. But Canova not wanting to give up one bit, because Canova's in that best of the rest award position right now. So Canova still wanted to defend that from the 30 of Dravicki, but Dravicki still holding on to that 2nd spot. So it might shape up that might be a very interesting championship battle at the end of the season next week, because if the way things, if they were to finish right now, I think Dravicki would close up that points gap to, I think, maybe even within 10 points.
Yeah, that is going to be a very close battle for the best of the rest. The highest finishing non-chase driver, and Dylan Canova, since the start of the chase, has been that driver within that spot. And I'd hate to be the guy that lost it after holding on to it for so long. But Kris Stump getting into the wall a little bit there, coming off at turn number 2.
Stump is going to be able to get around Canova, though, so now he's got to turn his attention to the 11 of Hacker. Hacker's been kind of moving back these last few laps, and I think it might just because, as we've talked about, he just pushed a little bit too hard too early and kind of wore out those tires a little bit, because everyone's been kind of working their way around him now, and he's just been moving backwards. But he still sits within the top 5, so it's still a good position for that 11 machine, but he's not running as strong as he was earlier on.
Going on board with Al Smith here. Al Smith running a little bit higher than anyone else in front of him. You can see how well that works out for him. But definitely caught my eye as he was continually running a bit of a higher line. Not sure how much he is needing to cool off his tires, what his plan is here. Gonna have to keep a close eye on it.
Looks like the 13 of Guillaume Fortin looking to the inside of Brian Rogers. Fortin wanting to get around Rogers and move himself in the top 3 and maybe contend with these other 2 drivers in the front, as we're going to get to 25 to go here at the line. So this race is drawing to a close. There isn't much time left, as These laps go by very quickly now at about, still at about 19.5 seconds for these guys. So looking back at the front, Matt Kocher has opened up a massive gap over Dravicki, 0.8 of a second last time around. This time at the line, that gap is going to grow even more to 0.9 of a second. So Matt Kocher now using up the tires that he has saved throughout this race to open up the gap over Dravicki. And this is what we've seen from Kocher. Oh, caution is going to fly once more. And I think that might be the 7th or 8th time here tonight.
I am not 100% sure who was involved in that caution just yet.
Yeah, I'm not able to pick it out. That might have been Hamill, actually. Yeah, that is going to be AJ Hamill getting into the 42 of Brett Bartels and spinning into on the front straightaway.
All right, we're going to back this up just a little bit more. AJ Hamill in the 18. Brett Bartels in the 42. Contact made as they come up off the corner. And then Bartels finishes him off. Looks like minor contact for the 18. Don't believe he got into the wall too hard there. Sorts it out. Gets rolling once again.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky for AJ as he's been running in the top 5 pretty much all night, and now just being sent towards the back now is going to be the last car on the lead lap, just barely ahead of Matt Kocher right now, as he's kind of stuck between Kocher and the pace car. He will be waved around the pace car before we go green, so he is going to stay on the lead lap, but he's going to be all the way back in 18th position, where definitely that's not where he wants to be after running in the top 5 for pretty much this entire race, really.
All right, guys. Well, while we have a moment, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
Welcome back to Myrtle Beach Speedway, where the pace car just pulled off the racetrack. We're going to be at 18 to go when we hit the green flag here, and Matt Kocher is going to lead this field with Will Dravicki to his inside. Going to come to the restart zone now. Kocher getting on the throttle, and Dravicki not getting a very good jump. His teammate in the 13 machine going to get that position on the outside. Going to try to get ahead of Brian Rogers, who had taken that position to third place from him earlier on, as Matt Kocher gets a fantastic start here, already opening up a few tenths of a second over Will Dravicki. Look at Kris Stump, though, in that 98 machine. He's bobbing and weaving his way through the track as he has moved up into 4th. Looks like the 12 and the 11 maybe even got into each other into turn 1, but keeping on that 98 machine as this race is coming to a close here shortly. But 98 doesn't want to give up, because if he just improves a few more positions, he still has a chance at this championship next week. So the 98 has got to do whatever it takes to at least get one more spot. He's trying to challenge that 13 machine, but at the same time, he has to hold off the 11 and the 12 that are battling side by side behind him. Looks like the 11 or the 12 is actually going to get bumped into by the 70 of Canova. Just Canova kind of pushing the 12 off turn number 4 there. These guys are all just kind of packed up right behind the 98. Oh, Canova gets into the rumble strips and he goes around.
Big time
wreck.
trouble.
At least 5 cars involved there, as It all comes back to Canova getting into those turtle shells on the inside of turns 1 and 2, and that's what we talked about before this race started. If you get onto those things, they will shoot your car up high, and that is exactly what happened. We've seen these guys kind of rub against them coming off of turn number 2, maybe getting 2 tires onto them, but Canova gets all of his tires to the end, pretty much half of his car to the inside, and kind of hits the bottom of his race car off of one of those things, and that just shoots him up to the side of the 96, spins him around, and that just collects a number of cars through the back half of this field.
Wow, as we just watched that from the blimp, you can see the 70 really launch up into the air, get a piece of Al Smith as we go on board this time. And then he spins it around as the drivers all tried to scramble and find a way around. Matt Kocher out front with 12 laps to go. He is leading Will Dravicki in the 30 and Guillaume Fortin in the 13. 09 Motorsports drivers sitting second and third, with Paul Henley, another teammate of theirs, in the 16 machine. He is all the way down into 17th place. If you want to do a little bit more housekeeping, we have one other car now out of the race. That is the 81 of James McIntyre. He will be scored in 19th place. Andy Lambert in the 77 will be scored 20th. He exited much earlier on in the night than we would have liked to have seen. Here we go. Kelly, this race is it's been a tough one here for the drivers in that it's a long race here on this short track.
And is much longer than normal because a lot of these times these guys can go flag to flag. We've seen it a few times throughout the season, but tonight has been a lot of cautions as we're in the chase here at the kind of the tail end of the season, second last race, so everyone's just trying to get whatever points they can, and it's just kind of caused these guys to push a little bit harder than normal and get into each other. But thankfully a lot of these cars have been able to keep it mostly clean. We've only had 2 cars DNF despite the amount of wrecks that we've had, because most wrecks have just been one car getting around. But lights are now out on the pace car, and what's interesting is Matt Kocher's going to go to the inside. A lot of times he starts on the outside, he'll get that good jump, and that allows him to kind of get his optimal line into turn 1. It's pretty rare to see that 69 machine elect to run the inside line. The pace car now down and away. Matt Kocher is still going to control the field up until turn number 4 here, and he will be free to fire whenever he wants. Coming off the turn now, Matt Kocher gets a good jump, but so does the 30 and the 13, especially the 13 of Fortin. He got a fantastic jump to the inside, but still not able to keep up with Kocher. Watch just behind them though. Here comes the 98 on the high side, trying to get around Hacker and start making moves towards the 69. Is now we're at 8 to go. Matt Kocher trying to win what will be his 9th win on the season here if he can finish off this race. All he pretty much has to do at this point is just kind of cruise, because he's already opened up over half of a second gap over the 13 and the 30s. They're running side-by-side contact between the 11 and I think that was the 12, and that is going to spin the 12 of Brian Rogers. Unfortunate for Rogers is he's been a guy that's been fighting all race long. Started in 20th, moved up to I think 15th, got involved in a wreck, went back to 20th, moved all the way up to 3rd at one point, and now going to be all the way back in 17th.
Go to our MaxSpeedTV replay here. We'll find out just how many times Brian Rogers can go to the back of the pack here as we watch him battling with the 11 of Brian Hacker, trying to make a move to the outside. Gets into the corner, and it looks like he got into the corner a little hot and hard on the brakes, and then just a nice little lazy loop around. Everyone goes down underneath him. No further contact made, but unfortunately that 12 machine gonna probably run out of time before he has the opportunity to have another spirited drive to the front.
Well, when we go green, there's not going to be very many laps left on this race. So Matt Kocher pretty much will just have to get another good jump on this next restart, and it's going to be pretty easy for that 69 machine to get a good start because he does control the race start off of turn 4. So it's going to be pretty much all going to rest on Dravicki and as well as Fortan and their reaction times to when the 69 fires. So these guys are going to have to kind of play a guessing game with Matt. If they can kind of guess when he's going to jump and jump at the same time, they might be able to challenge him into that first turn. But if they fail that, I mean, this race is going to essentially be over for them.
Yeah, there's only enough time for just a few laps left in the shootout, and should the caution flag fly, that will be it. That'll be the end of the race. So Dravicki's going to have to try and get a good jump on this final restart here, and Guillaume on the tail tank of that 30 here. Those two as teammates have been racing very close to each other. I'd hate to see something happen where they both take each other out, but man, it's been close a couple of times here.
Yeah, there's definitely been some intense battling between teammates here. As kind of they've all bets are off in the tail end of this race, and both these guys are just battling it out as hard as they can. And it doesn't even matter that only one of them is a chase contender. Dravicki is not in the chase, but he is also battling for that Best of the Rest award. And now as the lights go on the pace car, it looks like we are going to get a 2-lap shootout here. Looks like we will go green, go into lap 149 out of 150. So it is going to be, really it is going to be up to if Dravicki and Fortan can get a good jump on this next restart. But also keep an eye on Kris Stump. He's the guy that's contending with Kocher for the championship, and he wants to get as many points as possible. We'll see if he's going to be able to get at least one more position here tonight. Pace car is off. We're going through turns 4 and watch for when the 69 machine is going to go. He's going to get a good jump, but look at Dravicki and the 13 of 410. They both get good, decent jumps as well, but neither car is able to keep up with that 69 machine as Kocher just goes flying away from them. It's almost like he's got a different motor in that thing as he is pulled away on the front straightaway, and I think that's just due to the tires that he's saved. White flag is out for Matt Kocher. Be on the last lap of the night. A bit of a bobble for the 98 just behind the 13 to the 30. And the battle is still going to continue between 410 and Dravicki. Those guys are door to door. Matt Kocher just has to get through one more corner. He gets cleanly through turns 3 and 4, and he's going to win the MaxSpeedTV 150. 410 gonna be able to bring it home in second, with Dravicki finishing in third.
What a race we had out here tonight here at Myrtle Beach. Matt Kocher, win number 9 on the season, doing what he needed to do to open up that points gap even further. And man, oh man, has he been one to beat. So guys, nobody go anywhere. We're gonna set up our post-race show while we enjoy the sweet burnout sounds that Matt Kocher provides.
Welcome back to the Myrtle Beach Speedway, where we just finished the MaxSpeedTV 150, and we're going to get caught up with our race winner, the driver of the 69 machine, Matt Kocher. Matt, race win number 9 out of, I believe this was race 14 of the season. So the big question is, do you ever get tired of winning?
You never get tired of winning. As long as you're a race car driver, you will never ever get tired of winning. If you get tired of winning, then it's time for you to get out.
Well, with the win here tonight, I think that's going to essentially lock you for the championship, for you to go back-to-back in a championship. So what's the plan for next week? Are you just going to go all out, go for the race win number 10 and not really care about the consequences, or is it just going to be kind of cruise around and just kind of collect a championship?
I think well, we're gonna see what we did tonight. We're gonna cruise around, save some tires, and then go at the end when it's time to go. I mean, that's what we were doing tonight, and I knew Myrtle Beach was one of my favorite tracks here, so I knew what I had to do to save the tires in order to go at the end. So hopefully next week at New Smyrna, we can do it again, and hopefully we come out the champion.
Well, I mentioned earlier on that I saw you streaming yesterday that you were also racing here at Myrtle Beach, and you think that extra bit of practice kind of helped you here tonight?
I don't know if it was that extra little bit of practice, but about a year ago we used to run this track weekly on a series, and I probably put in over 3,000 laps here, 4,000 laps in races alone, not practice. So I've had a lot of laps here, and I knew what I had to do. And last night, I don't even want to talk about that one. So yeah.
All right, well, congratulations to you, Matt. We don't have official word on the championship points. I'm sure that will come later, so we are going to hold off on that. We'll get back to you next week when we do have a bit more word, but congratulations on the win here tonight. And before we let you go, we're going to give you the floor and allow you to thank whoever you wish to thank.
I'm glad you don't got the points. I don't want to know. I want to know when I get done racing. But I got to thank Kyle Brumman for spotting me first off. I got to thank Team Vincier, Globalcom, I Analyzed, Turn 3 Auto Transport, Peterson Irrigation. I got to thank MaxSpeedTV for sponsoring this event tonight here at Myrtle Beach. I mean, hopefully you guys got to see a good race. I got to thank Al Smith and all the admins over at Upstate Racing League for putting this together every week and having a place to race.
All right, well, thank you very much, Matt, and hopefully we will hear from you again next week.
Hey, I hope so. Thank you.
That was driver of the number 69 machine, Matt Kocher, and now going off to KR, I believe you've caught up with the driver of the 13.
I have caught up with the driver in that 13 machine, and that is none other than Guillaume. And Guillaume, you had a great race here tonight. Bring it home second. Very close battle with your teammate there for that second place, but you come out ahead. Tell us what was going on out there and how you're feeling.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. It's my first time on the podium with the URL, so I'm pretty happy. And at the beginning of the race, I didn't have any expectation at all because the most lap I did here was 24 last year in that race. So I'm just happy to finish the race on the podium, and I had great battle with all the guys up front.
Well, Guillaume, it was a great run for you. And as this is one of the first times you've been on the podium, many people may not know where you're from. You mind telling us where you're from?
Yeah, I'm from Quebec City, Canada, so there's a bit of racing there, but not that much. So I'm happy to be in this league and have some racing with me.
Well, very cool. International superstar now. You got a podium finish here in the States. And, well, man, before we let you go, any shout-outs, thank yous you'd like to give?
Yeah, first of all, I have to thank Rumor Vinyl Design. They came on board this year with us, and also Racing Design. I have also to thank my teammates, Will and Paul. They gave me all those tips for this week. So, and also thank you guys for sponsoring this race.
You're very welcome, Guillaume. Congratulations on second place. That looks like it's going to move you up a few spots in the points here as your other competitors are not having the best of nights. So congratulations on this second place and good luck to you next week.
Thanks.
That is 09 Motorsports driver Guillaume Fortin getting it done here. And now, Kelly, I believe you caught up with his teammate, third place finisher Will Dravicki.
Yeah, I'm caught up with the 30 of Will Dravicki, and Will, for a guy that was sitting outside of the chase, you were certainly putting the fight to these guys, trying to play spoiler. And are you really gunning for that best of the rest award?
Yeah, it'd be something to go out and capture. I think Matt mentioned it a little earlier in his interview. We have like 3,000 or 4,000 laps turned here. I've probably lost 3,000 or 4,000 races to him here too. But what are you gonna do? A lot of experience. Myrtle Beach, I like it a lot here. Music pretty fast, so I figured it'd be up front and be challenging for a win tonight. You know, when you got defending champion Matt Kocher up there, what are you gonna do? You know, just give it your best and see what happens.
Well, you definitely did that. You definitely put some pressure on him, even led a few laps here, but we saw that there was multiple grooves here on this racetrack. And where did you find was kind of the best place to run here tonight?
I really like the high line in 1 and 2. Once the tires get worn, the track gets heated up, and then you can run it low in 3 and 4, and you can pick up a lot of time there. I mean, it's really a searching game. Battle with the weather at this place. I mean, you got an inside and outside lane at all times. It's just about picking which one is the fastest.
Well, next week we move on to the final race of the season, New Smyrna. How do you feel going into that track?
Yeah, I like New Smyrna. I mean, usually pretty quick there, so looking forward to a little bit. And you know, it's the season finale, so we're going to be running a little extra laps. So should be a lot of attrition, I would imagine. Just stay out of trouble and see what happens there at the end.
All right, well, Will, before we let you go, we're going to give you the microphone here, and I'll allow you a chance to thank whoever you wish to thank for this great third place run you had tonight.
Well, first of all, I got to thank Rumar Vinyl Designs. They came on board this year. They're a big supporter of ours. They're up in Lowville, New York. If you need racing graphics on a real race car, you know, anything vinyl design, they're the people to contact. We got to thank Racing Designs. They did some really nice paint schemes for us at the throwback race. You know, I actually got a little shirt made out of that, won an award for one of the best paint schemes. Got to thank my teammates, G and Paul. You know, teamwork makes the dream work. People out there that know what I mean about that. Congratulate Matt Kocher on the win. I want to thank Al Smith for all the hard work he puts in. And as always, I want to thank MaxSpeedTV and KR Stolfus because you guys do a wonderful job.
All right, well, thank you very much, Will, for coming and talking to us, and hopefully we'll hear from you again next week at New Smyrna.
Thanks, man.
I was driver of number 30, Will Dravicki, and that will pretty much wrap up our interview. So now we're going to do a quick run through of the field and allow you to see wherever your favorite driver may have ended up. Matt Kocher wins his 9th race of the season, coming home with a healthy 8/10 of a second lead over Guillaume Fortin, who came home in second for his, as he mentioned, his first top 3 of, I believe, his career here at URL. Will Dravicki comes home in 3rd, just behind his teammate. Kris Stump rounding out the kind of battle for the lead here in 4th. Brian Hacker finishes in the tail end of the top 5. Al Smith comes home in 6th. AJ Hamill started 7th, ended up coming back to 7th after getting involved in a late race spin. Mike Holtzclaw will finish in 8th. Jeremy Carpenter comes home in 9th, and Jeremy Watkins will round out our top 10.
11th place will be Thomas Maitier in the 89. Dylan Canova, falling all the way through the field, will find a way back up to 12th. Rex Hoyle in that 5 machine will end up 13th. Brian Rogers, unable to make another charge to the front, will wind up 14th. And Paul Henley will be in 15th spot. 16th going to the 45 of Doug Wysocki. Matt Roll finishing 17th. Brett Bartels in the 42 will be 18th. James McIntyre 19th. And rounding out the field tonight, here is the 77. That is 20th place finisher Andy Lambert.
Well, we'd like to give a huge shout out to the series sponsor, Coach's Corner. Located in South Glens Falls, Coach's Corner is your locally owned and family ran by Coach C himself. Open 7 days a week, 7 to 2 p.m., and open late on Thursdays to 8 p.m. Stop by because there's no place like home. That's the place that they're also going to be holding the annual Upstate Racing League banquet. And if you wanted to get involved in Upstate Racing League, as mentioned at the beginning of the night, they are having a Dirt Pro Late Model Series coming up at basically a week after the Asphalt Late Model Series finishes. So if you're interested in that, go to their website, upstateracingleague.com. Link is also in the broadcast description. It is a $10 sign up, and there are prizes to be won. You can also check out the official merchandise of URL on their website at the check out the merch room link. So that's essentially going to do it here for us, KR, and we're going into the final race of the season next week, and I think Matt Kocher has this locked up, but I think what will definitely be interesting to watch will be the battle between Will Javicki and Dylan Canova, because as you mentioned many times, there's a Best of the Rest award, and after Javicki's great finish here tonight, they're going to be in the single digits points separating those two drivers.
Yeah, it'll be really close to see who's going to get that 11th place finish in the point standings and get that coveted award. And we say coveted, we mean everyone's fighting for it because it is the Best of the Rest. So we'll see who gets that. So make sure you guys tune in next week. That race is the championship race. Be right here on MaxSpeedTV at 7:40 p.m. Central, Thursday, February 28th. And guys, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. If you'd like to get your race broadcasted, make sure you go to MaxSpeedTV.com/contact and fill out that quick questionnaire. And we'd love to get you up on the interwebs. So, on behalf of myself, Kelly Dahl, any last things to say?
No, but I just would like to wish or hope that everyone that's watching here tonight comes out next week to watch the championship race, because even though we may have a championship almost decided, I'm sure there's still going to be sparks flying on this race, because every race, everyone just kind of gives it their all. As Matt said, that if you're a racing driver, you want to win no matter what. So come out next week. I'm sure that's going to be another fantastic race.
That it will. Make sure you're here. So guys, have a good night, and thank you oh so much for joining us. Until next time, we'll see y'all later.
The Upstate Racing League hopes you enjoyed this broadcast on MaxSpeedTV, and we thank you for your continued support.